Is it even realistic to think that a married man can avoid looking at other women? It's not like he's going to follow through and be unfaithful to his wife, so no harm, right?
Every wife knows wandering eyes mean a wandering mind. If he's looking at other women, what can a wife do? What should you do?
Hey friends, welcome to the Faithful Life community where we explore what it means to be a biblical Christian in our marriage, parenting, church, and other relationships.
And if you're new to the podcast, we release a new episode every Tuesday, and we'd like to invite everyone to hit subscribe wherever you receive this content.
If you haven't written a review and rated the podcast yet, and it's been enjoyable, it's been a blessing and helpful to you, please know that it means so much to us when you do that.
Yeah, it really does. It makes a difference and it helps us get the word out. So thank you so much for those of you who have, and for those of you who are sharing it on social media and inviting others to be a part of the Faithful Life community.
If you do post it on your social media platforms and you tag us, if we see it, we'll post it on ours. So from Lisa's heart, from my heart to yours, thank you so much for being here and for inviting others to be a part of this journey. It means so much to us. We work hard to share with you meaningful and encouraging content for your journey of growing together and maturing as a biblical Christian. Hey everyone, we're glad to be here, but we hope you had a better week than we did.
Yes, definitely. We had the stomach flu go through our entire family this past week. It was awful.
And I was a little off, but I never got what everybody else got. So I thought, hey, I made it through unscathed.
Yes.
And then I didn't. So yeah,
North and South. It was the last to fall.
North and South.
Okay, they don't need details.
Carnage.
Anyway. You should never have the stomach flu in the summer. It just doesn't feel right. It's just not right about it.
Oh, goodness. Well, we're back in the saddle, so to speak. Feeling better.
Yes.
And anyway, we're glad to be with you today. And just want to say before we get started, thank you for those reviews. And many of you have written and said you've really super enjoyed the podcast. And thank you for that. A bunch of people contacted me on Facebook and just said they were really enjoying the new season. So we're so grateful for that. We're asking you, if you're enjoying this podcast, go leave a review. Super meaningful, absolutely helps to get the word out, and super instructive, and it's super encouraging for us. Instructive for people who are interested and looking for a podcast, and it's also super encouraging for us. We read everyone, so thank you very much. Appreciate that. Also want to mention our book's newly released, 100 Words of Affirmation. Your daughter needs to hear 100 Words of Affirmation. Your son needs to hear. Available everywhere. And these books are just born out of our life as a married couple with kids. And it's got the good and the bad in there. It talks about our successes. It talks about our failures. And it's going to be an encouraging book for anybody who's looking to build that relationship with their son or with their daughter. So check those out. 100 Words of Affirmation your daughter needs to hear. 100 Words of Affirmation your son needs to hear. Get them. Build your relationship with your kids.
I also want to remind everyone about the Freedom Course that Matt offers. So many wives write me about their husbands struggling with pornography, and it is so destructive in marriage. The Freedom Course teaches men how to get free from those chains for good. And so it's a beautiful thing for marriage. I really encourage you to check it out. It's freedom-course.com.
Yep. Thanks, babe. That's right. freedom-course.com. Sign up today and share it with a friend.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about faithfulness in marriage.
We all know that faithfulness goes both ways. It's not a man's issue or a woman's issue, a husband or a wife issue. It goes both ways.
But today we're going to talk about a specific kind of faithfulness, and one that is often overlooked or maybe treated less serious than, like, say, a full-blown addiction.
Okay, so what's that?
Okay, it's about faithfulness with your eyes. Many women are married to men who would never consider actually sleeping around, but they act like they're a victim when it comes to where their eyes are. And I mean, we've heard others who've convinced themselves that they are protecting their wives by being stealthy, that she didn't see it or she didn't notice.
So it's not that bad because she's not really noticing what he's doing.
Right. But we wives can always see when you're looking at someone else other than us. Mm-hmm. We can feel it. Our hearts know it. And you might think that you're being subtle, but trust me, she knows. She always knows if you are faithful or unfaithful with your eyes.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that a lot. And I've also had men tell me that they just have no control over their eyes. They don't know what to do. It's just this thing that's happening to them, and what can they do? And then I've also bumped into actually where I used to work in northern British Columbia at a little town called Dease Lake right on the Yukon border. where I used to live. I grew up in BC. There was a guy up there, and he loved saying, "Hey, just because I'm on a diet doesn't mean I can't look at the menu."
Oh, no. Well, that's awful.
Isn't that
that
okay?
is awful.
So first off, if you're looking at your marriage as being on a diet, this horrible
That's a problem.
yeah, right. I think we have the wrong view to start with. But these two wrong ways of thinking, I think, have found their way a long way into the church, and it's not okay.
No, those perspectives are absolutely unbiblical. I mean, it's destructive to a woman's heart. It's destructive to your marriage relationship. And just honestly, for a woman, she would feel the need to guard her heart if you're not being faithful with all of you.
Absolutely. And, unfaithfulness in this way, it's also unfaithfulness to God. We have to remember. You might even remember when David sinned with Bathsheba. He turned and spoke to the Lord and said, "I've sinned against you, God." So we have to come face to face with the real destruction that's going on. Our marriage, in many cases our family, and certainly our relationship with God. And it's so common, this business of being unfaithful with your eyes. If you're unfaithful with your eyes, you're unfaithful with your mind. Something is happening in your thought process that is allowing you to think it's okay, you can get by with, you can deal with it, you can do it once and then stop. It's so common. And for many, it's just this reflexive behavior. But it's not okay. Even if it's so common that it's become reflexive in your experience, it's not okay. What's happened is that we've gotten comfortable with sin in our lives. That's the truth. And we've become callous to the hearts of our wives.
And I'll also add, if we have children, then we've forgotten that we're discipling them by our behavior, by your behavior. And we've forgotten what the scriptures say about this.
Well, Jesus couldn't have been more clear, could he? Right? In Matthew 5:28, he says, if you look at a woman lustfully, you've committed adultery with her in your heart. That's God's perspective of wandering eyes. Now, I had one guy say to me, well, I look, but I'm not lusting. Okay.
Well, sure.
Listen, brother, and it's just amazing what games we play with ourselves to sidestep the responsibility of what we're actually doing. And brother, if that's the knife edge that you want to straddle between living a holy life and not lusting after women, but looking at them and just, you're going to wait for God to adjudicate that, I think you better think again. See, what we're really doing is giving sin a different name to diminish the seriousness of what is actually taking place, what we're doing. Wandering eyes doesn't sound too bad, does it? Right? Wandering eyes, that doesn't sound too, destructive or dangerous or ominous. Not too bad, right? Yeah. Well, the Bible has a different word for that phrase, wandering eyes. The Bible calls it sin. And Jesus, by his definition, calls it adultery. So, brother, if you look at another woman, don't tell yourself you're not sinning. That's exactly what's happening. You're sinning against your wife. You're sinning against God, full stop.
And you're destroying your marriage. You just convince yourself that you're not, but that doesn't change what's actually happening.
So what's a man to do in the throes of this struggle, in this battle, and his wife is over there being demoralized by his behavior? What should he do? What can he do? It's not rocket science. Start by going back to the anchor verse in the Bible, 1 Corinthians 10:13. You can't walk in the truth if you don't first believe the truth. The Bible is the truth, and you are not some hapless victim to where your eyes choose to look. You have the power and the responsibility to act. And God will never do for you what he has already given you the instruction, the power, and the provision to do. This is actually one of the principles in the Freedom course that was referred to before, teaching men to get free from all manner of pornography and sexual sin, even of this kind. And again, if that's you, check it out, freedom-course.com. That's one of the principles in it. God will never do for you what he's already given you the instruction, the power, and the provision to do. And maybe you've told yourself, yes, I love my wife, but I just can't help it. There are so many temptations. But if you believe that, you believe a lie, just exactly what the enemy wants you to do. And that lie will destroy the security in the heart of your wife, because it's nothing more than your excuse to keep on sinning. You can help it because God is not a liar. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, it says, there has no temptation taken you but such as is common to man, but God is faithful. He will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but will with that temptation also make a way to escape that you may be able to bear it. If God says you can help it, then you can help it. So get up in the morning and put a guard over your eyes. Pray to the Father that the Spirit would remind you every moment when you're tempted, and then claim the truth of 1 Corinthians 10:13. If God says you can help it, you can help it. And all you have to do, look the other way and praise the Lord in the midst of that battle. So, question for you, babe. So, what should a wife do if she's already raised the issue with her husband and he doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to take responsibility for it, doesn't want to change? What should a wife do?
Well, I assume we're talking about a man who claims to be a believer. And in that case, and I want to say that everyone's specific situation is different. So all I can really do is say what I would do in that situation. And the first thing I would do is I would pray that God would do whatever it takes to get his attention. And this is not just a throwaway, oh, you just need to pray about it, because sometimes we can dismiss that like it's not powerful, like it's not effective. And we're here to tell you it is very powerful and very effective to pray to God and ask him to intervene in a situation that needs to change.
Well, you're certainly praying according to his will in that case.
Mm-hmm. And secondly, I would remind myself that being an angry, snarky wife isn't going to help him repent.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes maybe us think we're going to feel better by making sure he realizes that he's doing wrong. But it's not an effective way to bring about repentance or to help a guy change.
And I think that that's where it comes down to relying on the Lord, because the fact is this kind of behavior induces all kinds of hurt, anger, and potential bitterness. It's just a situation that is tailor-made for making you feel horrible and just filling you with that sense of, I want to respond in an angry way. This is where the supernatural grace of God is needed in order for you to have a right posture in this horrible challenge, in this terrible trial.
Yeah, and we're not saying by this, oh, just pretend like everything's okay.
Yeah,
that is not
sure
what we're saying. But we do want to encourage you is to continue to walk in the Spirit, continue to demonstrate the fruit of the Spirit in your life and in your marriage relationship, no matter what he chooses to do. That's what we're saying.
Absolutely.
First thing I would do is I'd pray. Second thing, remind myself that I still want to walk in the Spirit and not be that angry, snarky wife. And then thirdly, if it was me and my situation, I'd go to the men in our church. I'd go to the brothers in our body and just say, hey, my husband could use some accountability. He's got a problem. He's struggling. And I hope that you'll step in.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're saying you would just go to all the men in the church.
No.
Okay.
Not like I'd stand up in the church, but you have a number of brothers in your life that you walk closely with, that you walk together through such things like that. So after I talked to you and you didn't want to talk to me anymore about it, then I would say, hey, I'm going to talk to some of the brothers about this because I don't want to walk through this alone.
I think we need a third opinion here, is really what you're saying, because I'm not listening. I got my opinion. You know it's wrong and you're feeling awful about what's happening, but you're not getting anywhere. So what you're saying is you tell me, I want to talk to a third party about it. Now, there's lots of different marriages and there's lots of different situations. This is what Lisa is saying she would do in our situation if I had that posture and that spirit about this. I think we probably also would want to caution them. What would you say are some of the cautions that a woman should be mindful of if she's facing this, wanting to deal with it, but has a husband that's really just recalcitrant, doesn't want to respond?
I would have this small caution that you would not go around talking to a lot of people about your husband's sin and failing. That is not effective. That is not biblical. But it doesn't mean you don't tell anybody and you just have to bear this alone. So be wise in who you approach. Make sure it's someone that's biblical, that's trustworthy, someone that loves you and your husband, that has hopefully a voice in your lives, and go to them and talk to them about it, and let your husband know that you've done so that it's not behind his back or a big secret, but just so you know, I'm going to be talking to you, John and Susan, about this because I think we need some help here.
Yeah. So I think bottom line is you're saying you wouldn't just sit still for it.
No, I would not.
You would do those first two things. You'd be looking for action. You'd be looking for something to break loose. But if that didn't happen, you'd involve godly, biblical, wise, and unbiased couple.
Yep, that's exactly what I would do.
But I do like what you said about you wouldn't just allow yourself to become bitter and angry and dark. And that is just a real caution here. It's so hard when a wife is being demoralized in this way. And so I think that was a really good word. And God can give you the grace for every trial He allows you to walk through. So that's really important, leaning into the Father and just know that He is there. He will sustain you. He's there in every valley that you walk through. And it's really one of those times of faith and drawing near to Him and trusting Him with something that's really, really tough. We just want to reiterate that it's absolutely unacceptable for a man who claims to be a biblical Christian to have wandering eyes. It's not a sin to be tempted. It's a sin to follow through on that temptation. And so just know that God's calling you to holiness with your eyes, with all of you, and with your mind. That's God's call on every Christian man. And we just want to encourage you to walk in that and bless your wives with integrity in everything, including your eyes. Well, listen, important topic, maybe a tough topic. We hope that if there's somebody out there that is dealing with this or struggling with this, you would take these things so seriously and you just recognize that this is God's putting His finger on your heart saying, I'm calling you to walk with me and to change. So God bless you in these things. Great to be with you today. We just want to again remind you, please leave a review if you enjoy the podcast. Love being with you. Love these times together. And remember, freedom-course.com, freedom-course.com for anybody who's struggling with any aspect of sexual sin. That course is there to help you find true victory and to walk in freedom. So until next time, just remember,
our God is our rock and our Redeemer.
He is present. He knows exactly what your week holds and what you are facing right now.
He loves you and is for you.
So this week, draw near to God, and He will draw near to you.